Boomer, say hi. Boomer and I just arrived in Santa Cruz, and I wanted to share something that has been really pinging me, I guess, for months, maybe actually years, but now it's really prominent in the last several months. And so there's been this theme, and years ago my father passed away. I think it's been like 10 years. And I had laid some boundaries with my father from the time that I was in college. So I was a very young woman. I laid some very firm boundaries with my father up until he passed. And the reason I did that was that my father would talk about his intimacies, if you will, and talk about women in such a way that was super triggering to me. And I just asked him, like, if we're gonna hang out, I don't want to I don't want to hear that. And I was getting highly triggered due to my pain. And at the time, I didn't have any awareness that it was my pain that needed to be healed, and that my need for a boundary was actually my temperature gauge to the level of healing that I needed to reach for myself. And because I set that boundary, my father and I were not close. And I was his youngest. So we were super tight until this time. And I put down the boundary. And then, I mean, I kept trying, but here's what my sisters, Boomer, it's okay. My sisters said that my dad would say, Brooke just doesn't like me anymore. That should break my heart. And at the time, it was just another offense. Like, why can't my dad just honor my boundary? And yet there was a bit of war within me, because when I heard my sisters say that, one, I didn't understand how they just were able to handle it. Two, there was a part of me that clued into the fact that my father wasn't trying to step over my boundaries and hurt me. My father really just couldn't understand the concept. He just wasn't there. And don't we all have blind spots? So that boundary that I set wasn't me not abandoning myself, wasn't me, it was full of self-righteousness and judgment. It was full of being offended. And here's the issue with that. I was creating a fortress around me through that boundary that I wasn't aware of. I wasn't aware that I was barricading myself with a boundary because I was so highly triggered. What I created was separation. I lost 20-something years with my dad. And those conversations that I was trying to avoid with my dad wasn't the totality of my dad. And I could not get beyond that pain point to see that and to recognize that there was a lot more to my father. And I didn't know to get curious. I didn't know what a healthy boundary was. I just knew I needed boundaries because I was triggered. And that's the way I responded. Did I know I was being judgmental? I had no idea. Did I know that I was projecting? I had no idea. So, fast forward, over the last 3.5 years, I've had 2 of my best girlfriends have lost their husbands unexpectedly. And it has been, intense. And here's something that they are echoing in this, which is the same echo of my heart. When the people that you love are gone, all of their debts are canceled in your heart. You would do anything to cross over the times that you held things against them, the times that you put a boundary or made them pay for hurting you. You would do anything to cross over that so that they understood your love for them and were received by you, and you had time with them in freedom. That is what has been echoed, and that's why that has been ruminating. I repeated that pattern that I had with my dad, with probably the most significant relationship I've had. And I had no idea that my trigger response and my trying to separate all the time to protect myself was needing to be a temperature gauge to how much healing I needed. But instead, I projected a lot of judgment, self-righteousness. I had no idea what an idiot I was. I had no idea. I just thought boundaries are boundaries. And I was so offended all the time. And I didn't have grace. And it's like hilarious now looking back at how incredibly unhealed I was, and how, I'm learning that, when I look back at that young woman that set up boundaries with my dad, I did the best I could with what I had. I didn't know better, and I couldn't do better. I didn't realize I was being judgmental. I didn't, that was the furthest thing from my mind. I would never have wanted my father to feel judged or unloved by me. And fast forward years later, I repeated all of that. And I lost. So this is just, you know, this is a space where the loss is real. I can also walk with myself in compassion and just trust that, God has given me this wisdom or this knowledge or whatever. I don't know what to call it. This insight. Now, for whatever reason. And I'm very grateful. And I feel like I have a new respect and like understanding of our blind spots. And I mean, who the hell am I? Like, honestly, I'm just like, I do stupid shit all the time. I mean, sorry, I do stupid stuff all the time. And I don't have any right. I don't like, I mean, I can, but with that, I am just creating more separation. And I truly believe, one of my core beliefs is that God intended for us to be united, not separated. So please don't hear what I'm not saying. What I'm not saying is to abandon yourself. What I'm not saying is that in abuse, like legit abuse situations, you should be anywhere near an abuser. That's not what I'm saying. But there are misappropriated boundaries. So when a trigger is coming up, it might be a good idea to approach with curiosity, to ask the question, what am I supposed to see here? What is this really about? And see what it is within you that is causing this great big trigger response and this need for these heavy boundaries. Christ walked the earth and he wasn't offended and everybody hated his guts. I mean, like, not everybody, but like most people hated him. Spit on him, took advantage of him, and he just kept coming for them. He was unoffendable. So I think there's a big difference between offense and like abuse. And I have acted like offenses are abuse. So I'm just over here learning. I'm just over here like a little baby chick trying to figure this stuff out and learning so much. And I'm so grateful for my mentor and my therapist. And I'm so grateful for the Alive and Free collective that I'm part of, and learning some of the techniques that I've used a lot on myself and as things come up, and internal family systems and all of this stuff that I've been learning about over the last several years, really processing with God. And one of the reasons why I think that this is so important is to approach yourself and others with curiosity and respect. instead of judgment and having to settle these boundaries. And um, I think loving people, love is covers a multitude of sin. And when I say sin, I mean missing the mark, missing the target of our souls. And if love covers a multitude of sin where we've missed the mark, then we can love ourselves out of it, and we can love others. So I just hope that this is an encouragement to you to stay curious. And you know, I've been processing a lot, and so, you know, I have a lot of peace and joy that has just been kind of a beautiful byproduct of the peace that has come. But there's also been, you know, moments of heartache and loss in the earlier parts of really trying to understand what's happening. So I believe that we are meant for communion together as a people, and what separates us and polarizes us is just like this highly triggered response. And you know, the wars out here start because there's wars in here, myself included. So I hope this is inspiring in some way. If you have questions or an experience with this, I would love to hear your comments. I am going to see my mama now. So bye. Love you.